If you win this case, I'll resign as judge. Judge Raymond Whitmore's words hit Maya Williams in front of everyone. The courtroom fell silent. Then whispers spread across the room as people turned to stare at the young black woman standing alone at the plaintiff's table. Everyone understood what this was. A public humiliation. Whitmore leaned back in his chair and looked down at her with cold amusement. If you lose, he added, you may want to reconsider whether you belong in this profession. A few people laughed. At the defense table, Daniel Mercer smirked. Maya felt her chest tighten. She could still ask for a continuance. No one would blame her. She was only here because the lead attorney had collapsed before the hearing and the case had been thrown into her hands at the last second. But if she stepped back now, everything she had worked for might end here. She thought of her mother cleaning office buildings at midnight so Maya could stay in school. She thought of the people in her neighborhood who had collected money for her books, prayed for her success, and told everyone that one day Maya Williams would become the lawyer who fought for people the system ignored. To them, she was more than a young attorney. She was proof someone from their streets could rise. If she folded now, she would not just fail herself. She would fail all of them. If Maya's courage moves you, please hit like for everyone who had to fight twice as hard just to be seen. And comment where you're watching from because someone near you may be standing with Maya in spirit tonight. Maya lifted her head. No, Your Honor. Whitmore narrowed his eyes. No what? No continuance. I'm prepared to proceed. That surprised the room. Whitmore's smile returned. Very well. Then let's begin. Daniel Mercer argued first. He called the wrongful conviction claim baseless. He said the case had been settled years ago. He argued the plaintiff had no legal grounds to reopen the conviction. When he finished, he sat down looking satisfied. Whitmore turned to Maya. Your turn. She stood. Her hands trembled. Then she gripped her mother's pen tighter and stepped forward. Your Honor, this case is not about reopening old wounds. It is about correcting a lie. The room quieted. Leonard Brooks spent 22 years in prison because evidence was hidden from the defense and witness statements were buried. Mercer rose immediately. Objection. Sit down. Whitmore snapped. Mercer blinked and lowered himself back into his chair. Maya kept going. The city wants this court to believe justice was served because procedure was followed. But procedure means nothing when truth is deliberately hidden. She lifted a document from her file. This witness statement was taken 3 days before the original trial. It identifies another suspect by name. It was never disclosed to the defense. That changed the room. Mercer stood again. Objection. That document is not properly before this court. It was buried, Maya said firmly, because someone wanted it buried. Whitmore's expression shifted, only for a second, but Maya saw it. Fear. He struck the gavel. This court will recess until tomorrow morning, pending review of the new evidence. Gasps spread through the room. People stood immediately. Reporters rushed out the doors. Mercer looked rattled. Whitmore rose from the bench and disappeared into chambers without another word. Maya sat down slowly, her breathing uneven. Benjamin Hayes approached after the room began to empty. He stopped beside her. You know what just happened? He asked. Maya shook her head. Benjamin looked toward the judge's empty bench. You scared him. Maya frowned. The judge? Benjamin nodded. He didn't challenge you because he thought you were weak. Maya stared at him. Benjamin lowered his voice. He challenged you because powerful men only attack people they fear. Maya looked toward the empty bench, then down at the evidence still in her hand. And for the first time, she understood. Judge Raymond Whitmore had not tried to humiliate her because he believed she would lose. He had tried to humiliate her because he was terrified she might win. Maya did not leave the courthouse with the others. She stayed in the empty conference room beside courtroom 7B, staring at the witness statement spread across the table while the adrenaline from the hearing slowly drained out of her body. Benjamin Hayes closed the door behind him. You understand what this means now? He asked. Maya looked up. That Whitmore panicked. Benjamin nodded once. Judges like him do not panic over routine evidence. Maya stared at the document again. Then why did he? Benjamin pulled out a chair and sat across from her. Because that statement should not exist in your file. The words settled heavily between them. Maya frowned. What are you saying? I'm saying someone buried that evidence 22 years ago, Benjamin said. And if Whitmore reacted like that the moment he saw it, then there's a good chance he knows exactly why. Maya felt her stomach tighten. He was involved. Benjamin said nothing. He didn't need to. Maya leaned back slowly. The possibility had already begun forming in her mind during the hearing, but hearing it spoken aloud made it real. Judge Raymond Whitmore was not just biased. He might be connected to the original wrongful conviction. Wells. Benjamin folded his hands. If that's true, this stops being a courtroom fight and becomes something much bigger. Maya looked at him. Then we prove it. Benjamin studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Good answer. He slid a thick file across the table. Original prosecution archive. I pulled it from record storage before someone could make it disappear. Maya opened it. Inside were transcripts, police reports, trial notes, internal memos, and prosecutor filings from the original Brooks case. Benjamin stood. You have until tomorrow morning before Whitmore regains control of that courtroom. If there's something tying him to this, find it tonight. Then he left. Maya spent the next 4 hours going page by page through the file. At first, it looked like ordinary trial material. Witness statements, police testimony, procedural motions. Then she found it. A suppression order. Her eyes narrowed. It was dated 6 days before Leonard Brooks's original trial. The signature at the bottom read, Assistant District Attorney Raymond Whitmore. Maya froze. Her pulse quickened. Whitmore had been one of the prosecutors. He had personally signed the order excluding key defense evidence from trial. She flipped through the next pages faster. Another memo, then another, each bearing his name, each connecting him more deeply to the case than anyone had disclosed. Benjamin was right. Whitmore was not simply presiding over this hearing. He was sitting in judgment over a case he had helped build. Maya grabbed the phone and called Benjamin. He answered immediately. Tell me you found something. I found everything, Maya said. Whitmore prosecuted Brooks. Silence. Then Benjamin exhaled. God help him. The next morning, a 7B was even fuller than the day before. Word had spread. People were no longer here to watch a young attorney fail. They were here to see what happened next. Whitmore entered from chambers with his usual controlled expression, but Maya saw it immediately. He looked tired. His eyes were sharper, more alert. He knew the stakes now. Mercer rose as proceedings began. Your Honor, before we continue, the city moves to strike yesterday's submission in its entirety and requests sanctions against plaintiff's counsel for introducing improper and prejudicial material. Whitmore looked at Maya. Response? She stood. The city wishes to strike evidence because it cannot explain it. Mercer objected. Whitmore overruled him instantly. Maya continued. Furthermore, Your Honor, plaintiff requests disclosure of all prosecutorial personnel involved in the original Brooks conviction, including any members of the district attorney's office who participated in suppression decisions. That changed Whitmore's face, just slightly, but everyone saw it. Mercer immediately rose. Objection. Relevance. Maya did not look at him. She looked only at Whitmore. It goes directly to plaintiff's claim that exculpatory evidence was deliberately suppressed by state actors with knowledge of its importance. Whitmore's jaw tightened. He stared at her for 3 full seconds before answering. Denied. The room stirred. Maya spoke again. Then let the record reflect that the court has denied disclosure of prosecutorial involvement in suppression of evidence material to this motion. Whitmore's eyes narrowed. Noted. Maya sat. Benjamin, seated behind her now, leaned forward slightly. He's rattled, he whispered. Mercer resumed argument, but his rhythm was off. His confidence from the previous day had faded. He was no longer simply defending the city. He was protecting something. The hearing continued for another hour. Every time Maya pushed toward prosecutorial misconduct, Whitmore shut her down faster than before. Every ruling favored the defense. Every objection from Mercer was sustained. Every attempt Maya made to broaden discovery was denied. Benjamin leaned close during a recess. He's trying to bury it before you can build the record. Maya nodded. I know. Then stop playing his game. She frowned. Meaning? Benjamin's eyes hardened. Stop proving misconduct in theory. Prove his involvement directly. That afternoon, Maya left the courthouse and went straight to county archives. She requested personnel records from the district attorney's office from 22 years earlier. The clerk resisted. She persisted. 2 hours later, she had what she needed: employment rosters, case assignments, internal staffing logs. Every one of them confirmed the same thing. Raymond Whitmore had been lead assistant prosecutor on the Brooks case. Not secondary, not peripheral. Lead. He had built the case. Maya stared at the records. Her mouth went dry. This was bigger than she thought. The man trying to destroy her career was not protecting the system. He was protecting himself. Her phone buzzed. Benjamin. Well, he wasn't just involved, Maya said. He led the prosecution. Benjamin went quiet. Then, that means, if Brooks is exonerated, Whitmore goes down with him. Benjamin finished the thought. Yes. That night, Maya returned to the office and worked until nearly midnight. She organized every record, every suppression memo, every staffing assignment, every signature, every timeline inconsistency. Then the office door opened. One of the senior partners, Harold Benton, entered. He shut the door behind him. Maya. She looked up. We need to talk. His tone told her this was not good. He sat down across from her. The firm is concerned. Concerned? About what? About where this is going. Maya stared at him. You're kidding. No. His voice stayed flat. You're accusing a sitting federal judge of misconduct tied to a wrongful conviction. That has political consequences. He prosecuted the case. Allegedly. I have records. Benton sighed. The managing partners believe it would be wise to narrow the scope of your argument tomorrow. Maya stared at him in disbelief. You want me to back off? We want you to focus on overturning the conviction, not making accusations that could damage this firm. Maya stood. A man lost 22 years because of corruption. And if you go after Whitmore directly, you may lose everything before proving a thing. Maya's jaw tightened. So, the firm is scared. Benton stood too. The firm is realistic. He moved toward the door, then paused. This profession rewards survival, Miss Williams. Learn that early. Then he left. Maya stood alone in the office, furious. Benjamin entered minutes later. He had heard. He threatened you? No, Maya said. He warned me to survive. Benjamin gave a bitter smile. That's what cowards call surrender. Maya sank into her chair. They want me to stop. Benjamin looked at the files spread before her, then at her. Are you going to? Maya thought of Leonard Brooks. 22 stolen years. She thought of her father, of every black family in her neighborhood who had ever whispered that the courts were never built for them. She thought of Whitmore looking down at her like she was nothing. Then she looked up. No. Benjamin nodded. Good. He leaned forward. Because tomorrow, Maya, this stops being about winning a case. She met his eyes. It becomes about exposing a system. Benjamin's voice dropped. And systems do not go quietly. Maya looked down at the stack of evidence in front of her, at Whitmore's name appearing over and over again, at the signatures, the memos, the proof. Then she understood the truth fully for the first time. The most dangerous man in that courtroom was not the city attorney. It was the judge. And tomorrow, she intended to put him on the record. Maya arrived at the courthouse before sunrise. She wanted the extra hour. Not to prepare her argument, she had done that 3 times already. She wanted the quiet, because once she stepped back into courtroom 7B, the war would begin for real. Benjamin was already waiting outside when she arrived. He handed her a coffee and walked beside her toward security. You slept? He asked. Not much. Good, he said. Means you understand the stakes. Maya gave him a look. That's your pep talk? Benjamin shrugged. You don't need comfort. You need clarity. They entered the courtroom together. It was fuller than either of the previous days. News of the confrontation had spread beyond legal circles now. The gallery was packed with reporters, law students, courthouse staff, and attorneys from other floors pretending they had business nearby. Everyone wanted to see whether the young black attorney would really challenge one of the most powerful judges in the state. Whitmore entered exactly at 9. He looked composed, controlled, but Maya noticed the way his eyes found her immediately. He knew what she had found. The bailiff called the room to order. Whitmore sat. Proceed. Mercer rose first. Your Honor, before plaintiff continues this circus, The city renews its motion to strike all speculative accusations against this court and moves for sanctions against plaintiff's counsel for misconduct. Whitmore looked down at Maya. Miss Williams? She stood. Your Honor, plaintiff has no intention of making speculative accusations. She paused. Only documented ones. A murmur spread through the courtroom. Whitmore's face hardened. Careful, counsel. Maya reached into her file. Plaintiff submits employment records from the Cook County District Attorney's Office confirming that Your Honor, Raymond Whitmore, served as lead assistant prosecutor in the original prosecution of Leonard Brooks. The courtroom exploded. Voices rose instantly. Mercer shot to his feet. Objection. Whitmore slammed the gavel. Order. The room quieted, but only barely. Whitmore stared down at Maya with open fury now. You are dangerously close to contempt, Miss Williams. Maya did not sit. With respect, Your Honor, plaintiff believes the court has a duty to disclose prior involvement in any matter over which it presides. Whitmore's voice dropped. Sit down. No, Your Honor. Another wave of whispers. Benjamin remained still behind her, but Maya could feel his focus like a hand at her back. Whitmore leaned forward. You are accusing this court of ethical misconduct? I am stating for the record, Maya said, that the presiding judge in this matter failed to disclose his direct prosecutorial role in the underlying conviction now under challenge. Mercer stood again. This is outrageous. Maya turned toward him. What's outrageous is 22 years in prison built on suppressed evidence. Mercer fell silent. Whitmore's face darkened. You are finished speaking. Maya met his eyes. No, sir. Not yet. The room held its breath. No one spoke to Raymond Whitmore that way. Not in his courtroom. Not from that floor. Whitmore's voice became ice. Bailiff. The bailiff stepped forward. Benjamin stood instantly. Your Honor, he said sharply, if this court intends to remove opposing counsel for placing judicial conflict on the record, I will personally ensure the Judicial Review Board receives that transcript before sunset. The threat landed. Whitmore stopped. Everyone saw it. For 3 seconds, no one moved. Then Whitmore sat back slowly. His jaw flexed. Proceed carefully. Maya placed the next document on the evidence table. Plaintiff further submits suppression orders signed by Assistant District Attorney Raymond Whitmore 6 days before Mr. Brooks's original trial orders, excluding witness testimony, identifying an alternate suspect. Mercer's face went pale. Whitmore did not move. Maya continued. And because Your Honor denied discovery into prosecutorial involvement yesterday, plaintiff now moves for immediate recusal and reassignment of this matter to an independent judge. That sent the courtroom into chaos again. Whitmore struck the gavel repeatedly. Enough. His voice thundered through the room. Then he looked directly at Maya. Motion denied. Gasps. Benjamin stood. On what grounds? Whitmore's eyes never left Maya. On the grounds that plaintiff has not established actual prejudice. Maya felt her anger rise. Your Honor, you prosecuted the case. And the word hit like a slap. Whitmore leaned forward. Do you know how many cases I prosecuted before becoming judge? That is irrelevant. No, Miss Williams, he snapped. What is irrelevant is your pathetic attempt to turn this hearing into political theater because you cannot win on the merits. The insult was deliberate, public, calculated. He was trying to regain control. Maya knew it. So did everyone else. Whitmore continued. You are a junior attorney out of your depth, trying to weaponize procedure against people who built this system before you were born. Silence. Then, Maya stepped closer to the podium. With respect, Your Honor. She held up the suppression order. If this system was built by men who buried evidence and sent innocent people to prison, then perhaps the system deserves to be challenged. The room went dead silent. Whitmore stared at her. His mask cracked. Only for a second, but enough. Enough for Maya to see rage. Real rage. He struck the gavel so hard the sound echoed. Court recessed for 1 hour. He stood and stormed into chambers. The second he disappeared, the room erupted. Reporters rushed for the hallway. Attorneys whispered furiously. Mercer looked like he wanted to kill her. Benjamin grabbed Maya's arm. Come with me. He pulled her into an empty conference room and shut the door. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Benjamin let out a breath. You just forced him into a corner. Maya nodded. He denied recusal. Because if he steps down now, he admits conflict. Benjamin paced once. That means he's desperate. Maya sat heavily. What happens next? Benjamin stopped pacing. He retaliates. Her stomach tightened. How? Benjamin looked at her. However he can. As if on cue. Maya's phone buzzed. She checked it, then froze. Her face drained. Benjamin stepped closer. What is it? She turned the screen toward him. An email from managing partner Harold Benton. Effective immediately. You are removed from active representation in Brooks v. City of Chicago, pending internal review of professional conduct. Benjamin's expression darkened. He got to the firm. Maya stood so fast her chair nearly tipped. They're pulling me off the case? Benjamin nodded grimly. Whitmore, or someone in his circle, made the call. No. Maya grabbed her files. No. They don't get to do that. Benjamin blocked the door gently. Maya, no. Her voice shook now. They don't get to wait until I finally corner him and then take it away. Benjamin watched her, then slowly smiled. Good. She blinked. What? That anger, he said. Keep it. You'll need it. He pulled out his phone. I still have partnership authority on emergency litigation assignments. Benton can try to remove you from the firm's side. He smiled slightly, but he can't stop the plaintiff from requesting personal counsel. Maya stared. You mean? I mean Leonard Brooks chooses his own lawyer. An hour later, Leonard Brooks himself signed the substitution papers. Maya remained lead counsel. By the time court resumed, the entire building knew. Whitmore entered looking colder than before. He had expected her gone. She was still standing there. That unsettled him more than he wanted anyone to see. The bailiff called the room to order. Whitmore sat, then looked directly at Maya. You are persistent. Maya met his stare. So is the truth. His jaw tightened. And in that moment, Maya understood something important. She had crossed the line where this could no longer be resolved quietly. No compromise. No retreat. No professional courtesy. From now on, either she destroyed Raymond Whitmore's career, or he destroyed hers. And both of them knew it. Judge Whitmore wasted no time retaliating. The moment court resumed, he abandoned all pretense of neutrality. Every objection Daniel Mercer made was sustained before Maya could finish speaking. Every argument she raised was interrupted. Every document she tried to introduce was challenged, delayed, or restricted. By noon, it was clear to everyone in the room what was happening. Whitmore was no longer trying to hide his bias. He was punishing her. Objection. Argumentative. Mercer said. Sustained. Whitmore snapped. Maya inhaled slowly. Your Honor. Opposing counsel interrupted before I completed. Move on, Miss Williams. She clenched her jaw and continued. 10 minutes later. Objection. Relevance. Sustained. Then again. Objection. Foundation. Sustained. Again. And again. By the 4th hour of hearings, Maya had barely been allowed to present half her planned argument. Mercer knew it too. He had stopped pretending this was a fair proceeding. Every time Whitmore ruled in his favor, Mercer's confidence grew. Every time Maya was cut off, the room seemed to understand more clearly that the judge had chosen a side. When the afternoon recess was called, Benjamin met her in the hallway outside the courtroom. He's bleeding you out, he said. I know. He wants to frustrate you into making a mistake. Maya rubbed her temple. He's not even trying to hide it anymore. Benjamin nodded. Because now he knows subtlety won't save him. He's moving to force an outcome before you can build enough record for appeal. Maya looked toward the courtroom doors. So what do I do? Benjamin answered immediately. You stop chasing him. She frowned. What? You keep trying to prove Whitmore is corrupt. Benjamin leaned closer. He controls the courtroom. He controls procedure. As long as the fight stays here, he can bury you. Maya's expression sharpened. Then where do I hit him? Benjamin's voice dropped. You go around him. That night, Maya sat alone in the office, reviewing every witness connected to the original Brooks conviction. Most were retired. Some had died. Others refused contact. Then she found one name circled in the original defense notes. Detective Marcus Holloway, lead investigator. now retired. Address still on file. Benjamin entered as she grabbed her coat. Where are you going? To find the detective who built the original case. Benjamin looked at the file, then nodded. Take your phone and call me if anything feels wrong. 40 minutes later, Maya stood outside a small brick house on the west side. The porch light was on. She knocked. An older man opened the door, gray-haired, broad-shouldered, suspicion written across his face. Yes. Detective Holloway? Retired detective. My name is Maya Williams. I'm counsel for Leonard Brooks. The man's face changed instantly. He tried to close the door. Maya caught it. Please, I only need 5 minutes. I have nothing to say about that case. You put an innocent man in prison. His eyes hardened. Watch yourself. Did you know the evidence was buried? Maya asked. Or did Whitmore hide it from you too? That stopped him. Just for a moment. And that moment told her everything. Maya stepped closer. You didn't know. Holloway's jaw tightened. You need to leave. You testified Brooks was guilty. I testified based on the file I was given. Then help me understand what was missing. He stared at her for a long time, then quietly said, You have no idea what kind of people you're playing with. Maya held his gaze. Then tell me. Holloway looked past her toward the dark street, then stepped aside. 5 minutes. Inside, he sat heavily in a chair and folded his arms. I arrested Brooks because the evidence pointed to him, he said. At least that's what I believed. Maya sat opposite him. But 3 days before trial, another witness came in, claimed she saw someone else running from the scene. Maya leaned forward, and I submitted the statement. Holloway's face darkened. Then it disappeared. Maya's pulse quickened. Who removed it? I don't know officially, but unofficially, Holloway looked at her. Whitmore took the file himself. Maya's heart pounded. You saw him? He said he'd handle it personally. Did anyone else know? Only me and one assistant prosecutor. Who? Holloway hesitated, then gave her a name. Elaine Porter. Maya wrote it down instantly. Where is she now? Retired. Naperville. Maya stood. Would you testify to this? Holloway laughed bitterly. Against Raymond Whitmore? You think I have a death wish? You let an innocent man rot for 22 years. That landed. Holloway looked away. His voice dropped. I've thought about that man every day since he was convicted. Maya said nothing. He swallowed hard. Then, if I testify, they'll come after me. Maya answered without hesitation. They're already coming after all of us. Silence. Finally, Holloway nodded. One statement. Under oath. That's all I'll give you. Maya left with the signed affidavit in hand. For the first time since this began, she had a direct witness connecting Whitmore to the suppression. She called Benjamin immediately. You were right, she said. Holloway gave him the statement. Whitmore personally removed it. Benjamin's voice sharpened. That's enough to blow this open. I also have the name of another prosecutor, Elaine Porter. Find her. The next morning, Maya drove to Naperville before sunrise. Elaine Porter answered the door wearing a robe and reading glasses. She nearly shut the door when Maya introduced herself. Please, Maya said quickly. I know you worked the Brooks prosecution. Elaine's face went pale. I have nothing to say. You know what Whitmore did? Elaine's eyes filled with fear. You need to leave. He buried exculpatory evidence. Leave. He sent an innocent man to prison. Elaine's voice cracked. Leave before someone sees you here. That stopped Maya. Someone? Elaine looked around nervously, then whispered, You think Whitmore did this alone? Maya froze. Elaine stepped closer. There were people above him. People who needed Brooks. Convicted. People who made sure inconvenient evidence disappeared. Maya's stomach tightened. Who? Elaine shook her head. I will not die for your case. Elaine. The woman shut the door. Hard. Maya stood there frozen. Then her phone rang. Benjamin. Well? Maya got into her car. He didn't act alone. Silence. Then, come back now. When Maya returned to the office, Benjamin had the door locked before she finished speaking. She told him everything. About Porter. About her fear. About people above Whitmore. Benjamin sat heavily. That means this is bigger than judicial corruption. Maya stared at him. How big? Benjamin's face hardened. Big enough that people are scared after 22 years. Maya placed Holloway's affidavit on the desk. Then we use this first. Benjamin nodded slowly. Yes. He looked at her. But understand something now, Maya. If Whitmore realizes you've found cooperating witnesses, he won't just fight harder in court. Maya already knew what he meant. He'll try to stop them. Benjamin's expression darkened. And he'll try to stop you. That afternoon, Datio. Maya returned to her apartment for the first time in 2 days. The moment she opened the door, she knew something was wrong. The place had been torn apart. Drawers dumped. Files scattered. Furniture overturned. Her stomach dropped. She ran to the desk, where she kept her backup case materials. Gone. Every copy of Holloway's affidavit. Every copied suppression order. Every witness note. Gone. Only one thing remained on the desk. A single sheet of paper. Typed. No signature. No fingerprints. Just 6 words. Drop the case while you can. Maya stared at the message. Her hands shook. Not from fear. From anger. Because now there could be no doubt. This was no longer about one corrupt judge protecting his legacy. This was a machine. And it had finally shown her its teeth. She grabbed the note, called Benjamin, and said the only words that mattered now. They're scared. They're scared. Benjamin arrived at Maya's apartment in under 15 minutes. He stepped inside, stopped, and surveyed the destruction in silence. Every drawer had been emptied. Every cabinet opened. Cushions sliced. Books thrown from shelves. He turned slowly toward her. Did they take anything valuable? Maya held up the typed note. Only the case materials. Benjamin read it once. His face darkened. They're escalating. Maya folded her arms tightly. They broke into my home, Benjamin. I know. They stole evidence. I know. They threatened me. Benjamin stepped closer. And that means you're over the target. Maya stared at him. He pointed to the note. People don't break into homes over weak cases. Maya looked around her ruined apartment. Her anger had burned through fear now. This proves conspiracy. No, Benjamin said grimly. It proves desperation, which is useful, but not admissible. Maya exhaled sharply. So what now? Benjamin looked at her directly. Now we stop pretending this is only a legal fight. The next morning, Maya arrived at the office carrying the stolen evidence report she had filed with police before dawn. She handed it to Benjamin. You think they'll investigate honestly? No, Benjamin said. But I want it on record before this gets worse. Maya sat across from him. We still have Holloway. Benjamin nodded. And now, we move him fast, before they get to him. Maya froze. You think they'll go after him next? Benjamin's expression answered for him. Within an hour, they had arranged for Holloway to meet privately and sign a recorded sworn deposition before an independent court reporter. No delays. No courthouse. No notice. Maya drove herself. The deposition was set at a private office building downtown under borrowed conference room space from one of Benjamin's old colleagues. Holloway arrived 20 minutes late. He looked worse than before. Sweating. Jittery. He kept checking the windows. The court reporter swore him in. Maya sat across from him. State your name for the record. Marcus Holloway. Did you investigate the homicide for which Leonard Brooks was convicted? Yes. Did you submit a witness statement, identifying an alternate suspect before trial? Yes. What happened to that statement? Holloway swallowed. It was removed from the case file. By whom? He hesitated. Maya leaned in. Detective Holloway, you are under oath. He looked down. Then, said it. Raymond Whitmore took the file himself. Maya held her breath. Did he explain why? He said the witness was unreliable. Did you agree? No. Did you object? Yes. What happened? Holloway's voice lowered. He told me if I wanted a future in the department, I'd keep my mouth shut. The room fell silent. The court reporter continued typing. Maya asked one final question. To your knowledge, did suppression of that statement materially affect the conviction of Leonard Brooks? Holloway looked directly at her. Yes. The deposition ended. Maya turned off the recorder. Benjamin smiled for the first time in days. That, he said quietly, is the first real crack in his wall. But the victory lasted less than an hour. As Holloway exited the building, Maya watched from the conference room window. A black SUV pulled to the curb. 2 men stepped out. Holloway stopped cold. One of the men said something Maya couldn't hear. Then Holloway turned, rushed back inside, and burst into the room pale-faced. "We have a problem." Benjamin stood instantly. "What happened?" Holloway pointed toward the street. "They know I talked." Maya ran to the window. The SUV was already pulling away. Her stomach dropped. How would they know this fast? Benjamin's face hardened. Because someone leaked the meeting. All 3 of them froze. Maya looked at Benjamin. No one knew except us. Benjamin's expression darkened. "And the court reporter?" The reporter looked up, horrified. "It wasn't me." Benjamin believed her instantly, which meant only one thing. Someone inside the firm. Maya's voice turned cold. "Benton." Benjamin nodded. "He's feeding them information." Holloway backed toward the wall. No, I'm done," I testified. "We're done." Maya stepped toward him. "They threatened you because your testimony matters." "I don't care." His voice cracked. "I'm not losing my pension or my life over this." He turned to Benjamin. "You said I'd be protected." Benjamin answered honestly. "I said we'd try. That was not enough." Holloway grabbed his coat. "If anyone asks, I'm denying everything." Then he fled. The door slammed behind him. Maya stood frozen. "Tell me that deposition still holds if he recants." Benjamin shook his head slowly. "Defense will attack credibility. Without live testimony, it weakens." Maya slammed her hand against the table. "Damn it." Benjamin remained calm. "Then we get another witness." Maya turned sharply. "Porter won't talk." "She will if she realizes they're willing to burn everyone involved." That afternoon, Maya drove back to Naperville alone. Elaine Porter opened the door and immediately tried to shut it. Maya blocked it. Holloway just got threatened after testifying. Elaine's face drained. "They know who's talking now." Elaine whispered, "I told you to stay away." Maya stepped closer. "They will come for you too." Elaine's breathing quickened. "You don't understand these people." "No." Maya cut in. "You don't understand me." Elaine blinked. Maya's voice hardened. "My father was arrested on false charges when I was 9. He died before he ever cleared his name. My whole life, I've watched people like you stay silent, while men like Whitmore destroyed black families, and called it law." Elaine said nothing. Maya moved closer. "You helped bury evidence. Maybe out of fear. Maybe because you thought someone else would fix it later." Elaine's eyes filled with tears, but later never came. Silence. Then Elaine whispered, "I tried to stop it." Maya froze. "What?" Elaine looked down. "When Whitmore removed the witness statement, I objected. He told me the case came from above us. Said powerful people needed Brooks convicted to close the file fast." "Who?" Elaine shook her head. "I was never told names." "Then what do you know?" Elaine swallowed. "I know Whitmore didn't act alone. And I know he kept private notes. Insurance, he called it. Said if anyone ever betrayed him, he had records to bury everyone." Maya's pulse quickened. "Records where?" Elaine hesitated. "Then, he kept a private storage unit outside the city. I drove him there once after trial." Maya stared at her. Benjamin had been right. There was always a backup plan, always hidden leverage. If Whitmore kept records, then this could destroy all of them. Maya stepped closer. "Give me the address." Elaine hesitated one final time, then wrote it down. That night, Maya and Benjamin sat in his office, staring at the storage address. Benjamin looked at her. "If Whitmore kept proof of who ordered the suppression, we expose everyone." Benjamin nodded. "And if we go after that evidence, this stops being about one judge." Maya met his eyes. "It already has." Benjamin studied her, then slowly smiled. "Good. Because if we're doing this," he grabbed his coat, "we finish it." Maya stood. Her apartment had been torn apart, her witness threatened, her own firm compromised. The machine had declared war. Now she was done surviving, done reacting, done defending. For the first time since this began, she was going on offense. And somewhere in Chicago, Raymond Whitmore still believed fear would stop her. He was wrong. Maya and Benjamin left the office just after midnight. Neither spoke much during the drive. The storage facility sat 30 minutes outside Chicago. tucked behind an industrial strip near the interstate. It was the kind of place people used when they wanted things forgotten. Benjamin parked across the street. "You understand what happens if we're wrong?" he asked. Maya looked at the rows of metal doors beyond the chain-link fence. "We won't be." Benjamin handed her a flashlight. "And if Whitmore reports this as unlawful access?" Maya held up the handwritten note from Elaine Porter. She rented the unit under his instructions. Her name is still on the lease. She gave permission. Benjamin nodded once. "Then let's find out what our honorable judge has been hiding." 20 minutes later, they stood inside Unit 314. At first glance, it looked ordinary. Boxes, old file cabinets, sealed bankers' cartons stacked along the walls. Then Maya saw the labels. Brooks case. Suppression notes. Duh. Office private. Her pulse quickened. Benjamin stared in disbelief. Jesus. Maya dropped to her knees beside the nearest box and ripped it open. Inside were folders. Dozens of them. Case files. Private notes. Correspondence. Every document carefully organized. Whitmore had kept everything. Insurance. Exactly like Elaine said. Benjamin opened another box. Then another. His face hardened. "This isn't just Brooks." Maya looked over. The labels read, Martins State, People v. Harris, Johnson Appeal, dozens of criminal cases. Benjamin's voice turned grim. He kept records on all of them. Maya stared at the boxes. How many innocent people? Benjamin didn't answer, because neither of them wanted to guess. Maya opened a leather-bound notebook tucked inside the final cabinet. The first page made her stomach drop. Names, dates, case numbers, judges, police officers, prosecutors, and beside many entries, payments, favors, political donations. Benjamin stepped beside her. His expression changed instantly. "My God!" Maya turned pages rapidly. There it was, a ledger. Whitmore's private record of the network that had protected him for years. Bribes, suppression deals, election contributions, backroom arrangements. Then Maya found the Brooks entry. Her eyes narrowed. She read aloud. Pressure from downtown office. Conviction required before election cycle. Mayor's office involved. Witness statement removed. Holloway objected. Porter weak but manageable. Benjamin went still. Mayor's office? Maya turned more pages, then froze. Another note. If exposure risk increases, Benton can contain media, legal pressure, through firm contacts. Maya stared. Her blood ran cold. Benjamin. He read over her shoulder, then cursed under his breath. Harold Benton, senior partner, their own firm. He had not simply leaked information. He had been part of the machine for years. Maya shut the notebook slowly. This goes beyond Whitmore. Benjamin nodded. It goes beyond anything I imagined. Then headlights flashed across the storage door. Both froze. A car stopped outside. Voices. Benjamin killed the flashlight instantly. Move. They crouched behind stacked boxes. The padlock outside rattled. Then, metal groaned. The door rolled upward. 2 men stepped inside. Dark suits. No uniforms. No badges. One carried a flashlight. The other spoke first. Check everything. He said the files were here. Maya's heart slammed against her ribs. Benjamin leaned close and whispered, They know. The men moved deeper inside. One kicked open a box. Damn it. Someone's been here. The second man turned. Find them. Benjamin's eyes met Maya's. Run. They slipped behind the rear shelving just as the flashlight swept past. The space behind the unit opened to a maintenance corridor. Barely enough room. Benjamin grabbed her arm and pulled her through it. They ran. Behind them, there. Footsteps exploded after them. Maya sprinted through the narrow corridor, clutching the ledger against her chest. Benjamin shoved open an emergency exit door. Cold night air hit them. They bolted toward the parking lot. A shout behind them. Then, gunfire. A bullet struck concrete near Maya's feet. She stumbled. Benjamin grabbed her and kept moving. Get in the car. They threw themselves inside. Benjamin slammed the ignition. The SUV behind them roared to life at the same moment. Maya looked back. They're following us. Benjamin floored the accelerator. The chase lasted nearly 10 minutes. Through industrial back roads, red lights, sharp turns, Twice the SUV nearly rammed them. Finally, Benjamin cut through a narrow alley, crossed an access road, and lost them beneath an overpass. He did not stop driving for another 15 minutes. Only when they reached downtown did he pull over. Both sat in silence, breathing hard. Maya still held the ledger in white-knuckled hands. Benjamin looked at it, then at her. They shot at us. Maya nodded. He laughed once, not because anything was funny, because the truth had become undeniable. We were right. Maya looked down at the ledger. No, she said quietly. We were too late to realize how right. Back at Benjamin's office, they locked every door, spread the documents across the conference table, and began sorting. The deeper they went, the worse it became. Whitmore had records tying judges, prosecutors, city officials, and law firm partners into a decades-long network of case manipulation. Not every conviction, not every prosecutor, but enough to destroy careers, enough to trigger federal investigations, enough to shake the entire city. Maya sat back in disbelief. This could bring down half the legal establishment. Benjamin nodded. Which is why they tried to kill us tonight. Maya looked at the Brooks file again, at the note implicating the mayor's office, at Benton's name, at every dirty signature, then asked the only question that mattered. How do we use this? Benjamin answered immediately. Carefully, he pointed to the Brooks documents. We keep the focus on your case. If we dump everything at once, they bury it in politics. Maya nodded slowly. So, we use Brooks to open the door. Exactly. He held up Whitmore's handwritten notes. This proves suppression, conflict of interest, conspiracy, enough for recusal, judicial review, and criminal referral. Maya stared at the pile. Then her phone rang. Unknown number. Benjamin frowned. Don't answer. She did anyway. Silence. Then, a man's voice. Low, controlled. You should have left the storage unit alone. Maya's blood ran cold. She said nothing. The voice continued. You have until tomorrow morning to surrender everything you took. Click. The line died. Benjamin stared at her. They know you have it. Maya lowered the phone. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Benjamin said quietly, There is no walking this back now. Maya looked at the evidence covering the table, at the truth powerful men had killed to protect, at the proof that could destroy them all. Then she met his eyes. I wasn't planning to walk. Benjamin nodded once, then pushed the Brooks evidence toward her. Good. He slid a legal pad across the table. Because tomorrow. His expression hardened. We stopped defending. Maya picked up her pen. Outside the windows, Chicago slept. Inside that locked office, two people prepared to bring down a system. And for the first time since entering Whitmore's courtroom, Maya was no longer fighting to survive. She was fighting to expose everyone. Maya and Benjamin worked through the night. By dawn, the conference room table was covered in organized stacks of evidence. One pile held everything tied directly to Leonard Brooks's conviction. Another held documents connecting Raymond Whitmore to suppression of evidence. A third contained the wider conspiracy proof of corruption involving people far beyond the courtroom. Benjamin tapped the Brooks file. This is what we use first. Maya nodded. We keep the focus narrow. Exactly. We bury Whitmore with the part we can prove cleanly. Once he falls, the rest starts unraveling. Maya gathered the documents into trial folders. Then Benjamin looked at her. You understand what happens today? She met his eyes. We make our move. No, he said. Today they panic. Courtroom 7B was standing room only. Reporters lined the walls. Several attorneys from other firms had slipped into the gallery. Even courthouse staff lingered near the doors. Word had spread that something major was coming. Whitmore entered from chambers looking composed, but the moment his eyes found Maya, something shifted. He saw the confidence in her face, and he knew. She had found something. The bailiff called the room to order. Whitmore sat. Proceed. Maya stood immediately. Your Honor. Before argument continues, plaintiff submits newly discovered documentary evidence directly relevant to the integrity of these proceedings. Mercer rose. Objection. Overruled. Whitmore snapped too quickly. He wanted to know what she had. Maya stepped forward. Plaintiff moves to enter into record handwritten prosecutorial notes, signed suppression orders, and internal memoranda, proving that then-prosecutor Raymond Whitmore knowingly withheld exculpatory evidence in the original prosecution of Leonard Brooks. The room erupted. Whitmore slammed the gavel. Order, but his voice lacked its old control. Maya did not stop. Plaintiff further moves to enter evidence that Your Honor failed to disclose direct prosecutorial involvement in the underlying case before presiding over these proceedings. Mercer was on his feet, shouting objections. Whitmore ignored him. He was staring at the documents in Maya's hand, and for the first time since this began, he looked shaken. Maya placed the first file before the clerk, then the second, then the handwritten notebook. Whitmore's face drained. He knew that notebook. He knew exactly where it had come from. His voice dropped. "Where did you get those?" The entire room heard the question, and the way he asked it. Not disbelief, not confusion, fear. Maya answered clearly. "From records your office concealed for 22 years. Whitmore rose halfway from his bench. "That material is inadmissible. You recognize it then?" Maya cut in. Silence. The courtroom froze. Whitmore slowly sat back down. His hands gripped the bench. Hard. Maya turned to the gallery, to the reporters, then back to the bench. "These notes document suppression of alternate suspect testimony, concealment of exculpatory witness statements, and direct political pressure to secure conviction before an election cycle." Gasps filled the room. Mercer looked physically ill. Benjamin sat behind Maya, silent and steady. Whitmore's voice became dangerously low. "You are entering dangerous territory, Miss Williams." Maya held his stare. "No, Your Honor." She placed the final document on the table. "I'm exposing it." The room exploded. Whitmore struck the gavel again and again. Then, the rear courtroom doors opened. Everyone turned. 3 officials entered. Judicial Review Board investigators. They moved directly toward the bench. One of them spoke clearly. "Judge Raymond Whitmore, you are ordered to step down from proceedings pending immediate judicial misconduct review." The courtroom lost its mind. People stood. Reporters rushed for the exits to break the story. Mercer looked like he might collapse. Whitmore remained frozen, then slowly stood. His eyes locked on Maya. The hatred in them was absolute. "This isn't over," he said quietly. Then he was escorted from the bench. And for the first time in decades, Raymond Whitmore walked out of his own courtroom beneath the eyes of the people he once ruled. The hearing was reassigned within hours. An emergency replacement judge reviewed the Brooks evidence before evening. By sunset, Leonard Brooks's conviction was formally overturned. The courtroom erupted when the ruling came down. Brooks collapsed into tears. His family rushed him. Reporters shouted questions. Cameras flashed nonstop. And in the center of it all stood Maya Williams, no longer the humiliated young attorney from 3 days earlier, now the woman who had forced a federal judge from the bench. But the celebration did not last. Benjamin pulled her aside as the courthouse emptied. "Come with me." His tone was wrong, too serious. He led her into an empty hallway and shut the door. "What is it?" Benjamin held up his phone. News alerts filled the screen. "Federal judge removed amid corruption allegations. Evidence suggests wider political conspiracy in wrongful conviction case. Mayor's office denies involvement." Maya looked up. "It's spreading fast." Benjamin nodded. "Too fast?" Her stomach tightened. "What do you mean?" "I mean, once this became public, everyone named in those files started protecting themselves." He stepped closer. "Maya, listen carefully. Whitmore falling was step 1. Now the rest of them fight back." As if on cue, Maya's phone rang. "Unknown number," she answered. A woman's voice, shaking with fear. "Miss Williams? My name is Elaine Porter." Maya straightened instantly. "Elaine? They came to my house." Benjamin's face hardened. Elaine was nearly sobbing. "They know I talked to you. They know everything. Where are you?" "At a motel off Route 34. Please, please don't let them kill me before I testify." The line went dead. Maya grabbed her coat. Benjamin stopped her. "This could be a setup. Or, she's finally ready to talk." Benjamin hesitated, then nodded. "Fine. We go together." 45 minutes later, they pulled into the motel parking lot. Room 208. Door cracked open. Maya knocked once. No answer. Benjamin drew closer. Something felt wrong. He pushed the door open slowly. Elaine Porter lay on the floor, blood beneath her. Maya's breath caught. Benjamin rushed forward, checking pulse, then looked up grimly. She's alive. Barely. Elaine's eyes fluttered open. She grabbed Maya's wrist weakly. They found the rest. She whispered. What rest? Maya asked. Elaine coughed blood. More files. Whitmore kept copies. Safety deposit box. Her voice failed. Maya leaned closer. Where? Elaine forced out the words. First National. Downtown. Box 117. Then she lost consciousness. Sirens sounded in the distance. Benjamin looked at Maya. She may not survive. Maya stared at Elaine, then at the blood on her own hands. This had gone beyond careers, beyond politics. People were dying now. Benjamin rose. Maya. She stood slowly, eyes hard, cold, focused. They tried to kill her, because they're still hiding something bigger. Benjamin nodded. And now, Maya wiped the blood from her hands, now fully understanding the scale of the war she had entered. Now we finish this, before they bury everyone, because Raymond Whitmore had fallen. But the machine behind him was still alive. And if Elaine Porter was right, the worst secrets had not even been uncovered yet. Maya did not sleep that night. Neither did Benjamin. They waited outside the hospital until nearly 2 a.m. before a doctor finally emerged. She's stable, he said, but she lost a lot of blood. If you need a statement, it won't be tonight. Maya nodded. That was enough. Elaine Porter was alive, and before collapsing, she had given them one final lead, a safety deposit box. First National Bank, downtown branch, box 117. Benjamin drove them straight from the hospital to his office. We move first thing in the morning, he said. Maya stared out the passenger window. They stabbed her. Benjamin gripped the wheel tighter. Yes, they didn't threaten her. They didn't scare her. They tried to kill her. Because whatever is in that box matters more than Whitmore. That thought stayed with Maya all night. By 8 the next morning, they were standing inside First National Bank. Benjamin slid his bar card across the counter. We need access to safety deposit box 117 under emergency legal authority tied to an active criminal investigation. The manager frowned. I'll need proof of authorization. Maya placed Elaine Porter's recorded hospital statement transcript on the desk. The manager read it. His face changed. 10 minutes later, they were escorted into the vault. The clerk opened box 117 and stepped away. Maya reached inside, pulled out a thick manila envelope, then another, then a flash drive. Benjamin's expression hardened. Take everything. Back at the office, they spread the contents across the table. The first envelope contained private correspondence between Whitmore and senior city officials. The second held signed affidavits from former prosecutors. But it was the flash drive that changed everything. Benjamin loaded it onto his laptop. A folder opened. Inside were scanned documents, financial ledgers, internal emails, and one file simply labeled Brooks, Master File. Maya clicked it. The first email was enough to stop her breathing. From Deputy Mayor Thomas Whitaker. To Raymond Whitmore. Subject: Brooks prosecution. Message: Mayor wants conviction before election. Handle witness issue. No delays. Benjamin stared at the screen. Deputy Mayor. Maya clicked the next. More instructions. More pressure. More coordination. Emails. Between city officials, prosecutors, police leadership, all tied to the Brooks conviction. And then, one final file. A payment ledger. Monthly transfers routed through shell accounts. Recipients included judges, prosecutors, police supervisors, political operatives. Benjamin sat back slowly. This isn't corruption. Maya looked at him. It's organized. The office went silent, because now they understood the truth. Whitmore had never been the head of the machine. He had been one piece of it, a powerful piece, but still only a piece. Maya looked at the email chain again. Deputy Mayor Whitaker ordered the conviction. Benjamin nodded. And probably much more than that. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered cautiously. A male voice spoke immediately. You need to stop digging. Maya's jaw tightened. Who is this? You've already won enough. Whitmore is finished. Brooks is free. Walk away. Benjamin stared at her. Maya put the call on speaker. The voice continued. Take the victory. Enjoy the fame. Stop before more people bleed. Then the line went dead. Benjamin's face darkened. That wasn't panic. No. Maya looked at the files. That was an offer. Benjamin nodded. They're telling you Whitmore was the sacrifice. Maya understood. The machine had given up one man to save itself. They expected her to stop now, to take the public victory, to become the young hero attorney who beat a corrupt judge, and never ask who built the corruption in the first place. Maya looked at Benjamin. What if we don't stop? Benjamin's answer came instantly. Then they destroy us. She nodded once. Then we move before they can. That afternoon, Maya and Benjamin met privately with federal investigators. Not local police, not city prosecutors. Federal. They handed over copies of everything. Emails, ledgers, affidavits, flash drive. The lead FBI agent reviewing the files looked up after 20 minutes. His expression had gone cold. Do you understand what you're alleging here? Maya met his eyes. Yes. The agent looked at Benjamin. If this verifies, we're talking about racketeering, judicial corruption, obstruction, conspiracy, possibly spanning decades. Benjamin nodded. That's why we came to you. The agent closed the file. From this point forward, you say nothing publicly. You speak to no one outside this room. Understood? Maya agreed. Then the waiting began. 48 hours. No updates. No calls. No arrests. Nothing. And then on the third morning, Benjamin stormed into Maya's office, carrying his phone. You need to see this. He handed it to her. Breaking news. Investigation into Judge Whitmore narrowed to individual misconduct. Mayor's office cleared of involvement. Deputy Mayor Whitaker denies allegations. Maya stared. Her face drained. No. Benjamin nodded grimly. They're burying it. She stood so fast her chair slammed backward. We gave them everything. Benjamin's jaw tightened. Someone at federal level leaked or suppressed it. Maya paced. No, that's impossible. Benjamin said nothing, because it was not impossible. It was happening. The machine was larger than either of them had believed. Even federal channels were compromised. Maya turned toward him. What now? Benjamin answered quietly. Now we do what institutions fear most. She stared. He held her gaze. We go public. That evening, Maya sat in a television studio across from the most watched investigative journalist in Chicago. Benjamin sat off camera. The producer counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, red light. The host smiled. Tonight, the young attorney who brought down Judge Raymond Whitmore joins us live. Miss Williams, the city sees you as a hero, but we're told your story may not be over. Maya looked into the camera, straight into the homes of millions, and said, Judge Whitmore was not acting alone. The studio went silent. She continued, I have evidence of systemic corruption involving senior city officials, prosecutors, and political leadership who helped convict an innocent man and bury the truth for over 2 decades. The host blinked. Those are extraordinary allegations. Maya held up the email. They are documented allegations. By the end of the interview, Chicago was in chaos. News channels replayed it nonstop. Social media exploded. Public outrage spread nationwide. And suddenly, the machine could no longer hide in silence. That night, protesters gathered outside City Hall. Federal agents reopened inquiries. Political allies began turning on one another. And Deputy Mayor Thomas Whitaker held an emergency press conference, denying everything. But Maya saw his face on television, saw the sweat, saw the fear, and knew he was breaking. Benjamin stood beside her in the office, watching the coverage. You just forced them into the light. Maya nodded. Good, because the moment corruption is dragged into daylight, it stops controlling the story. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. She answered. Whitmore's voice came through. Calm, cold. You should have taken the win when I offered it. Maya's eyes narrowed. You don't get to threaten me anymore. Whitmore laughed softly. No, Miss Williams. His voice darkened. You still don't understand. Silence. Then, You exposed the wrong man first. The line went dead. Maya slowly lowered the phone. Benjamin looked at her. What did he mean? Maya stared ahead. Her voice dropped. He means Whitmore was protecting someone even above him. Benjamin's face hardened. And for the first time since this war began, they understood the true scale of what they had awakened. Because if Whitmore feared someone above Deputy Mayor Whitaker, then the real architect of the machine still had not revealed himself. Maya barely slept after Whitmore's call. His words repeated in her head all night. You exposed the wrong man first. By morning, Chicago was in full political panic. Deputy Mayor Thomas Whitaker had resigned pending investigation. 3 assistant prosecutors had retained counsel. 2 police commanders had been placed on leave. And still, Whitmore's warning hung over everything. He had sounded afraid. Not defiant. Afraid. That meant one thing. There was someone above all of them. Someone even Raymond Whitmore feared. Maya sat across from Benjamin in his office, staring at the wall of names they had built from the ledger, emails and files. Whitmore, Whitaker, Benton, police supervisors, judges, donors, operatives. Benjamin tapped the board. Look at what all these people have in common. Maya narrowed her eyes. Political appointments, city contracts, judicial endorsements. Benjamin nodded. Who controls all of that? Maya's eyes widened. No. Benjamin met her star. Yes. She turned slowly toward the board, toward the one name they had not dared say aloud. Mayor Richard Holloway, the longest-serving mayor in the city's modern history. Beloved publicly, untouchable politically. A man who had built his reputation on crime reform, community investment, and law and order leadership. A man who had personally attended Leonard Brooks's original conviction press conference 22 years earlier. Maya's voice dropped. He was the one who needed Brooks convicted before the election. Benjamin nodded. Deputy Mayor Whitaker took orders from someone. Maya felt her stomach tighten. The mayor. Benjamin said nothing. He didn't need to. Maya looked back at the board. If they were right, then the man at the top of Chicago's political structure had helped orchestrate the conviction of an innocent black man to protect his campaign, and everyone beneath him had spent 2 decades protecting that secret. Her phone buzzed. An encrypted message from the FBI agent they had met. Need to see you. In person. Alone. Urgent. Benjamin read it over her shoulder. Trap. Maybe. You still going? Maya nodded. Yes. Benjamin grabbed his coat. Then you're not going alone. They met the agent in an underground parking garage beneath a federal office annex. He looked exhausted and scared. That alone told Maya how bad things had become. You need to disappear for a while, he said immediately. Benjamin stiffened. What happened? The agent looked around before speaking. Our internal review confirms the leak came from inside Justice Department oversight. Your case is compromised higher than we thought. Maya's face hardened. How high? The agent swallowed. High enough that I'm risking my career talking to you. He handed her a sealed envelope. What's this? Internal memo. Restricted circulation. It names the office that intervened to narrow the federal investigation. Maya opened it. Read the header. Her blood ran cold. Office of the United States Attorney, Northern District of Illinois. Benjamin cursed quietly. Federal prosecutors themselves had interfered. The agent looked at them both. You're not fighting city corruption anymore. Maya stared at him. Then what am I fighting? He answered bluntly. A machine that reaches further than you can prove. Then he turned to leave. Maya stopped him. Why help us? He looked back. Because if people like you stop fighting. His expression hardened. People like them never lose. Then he walked away. Back at the office, Benjamin shut the blinds and locked the door. They spread the new memo beside the rest of the evidence. Maya sat in stunned silence. This reaches federal prosecutors. Benjamin nodded. Which means, if we accuse the mayor publicly without airtight proof, they'll destroy us before the accusation lands. Maya looked up. Then we need proof directly tying him in. Benjamin pointed to the ledger. Then we find it. They worked for 6 straight hours, tracing financial transfers, cross-checking campaign donations, matching political favors against conviction dates. Then Maya found it. A ledger entry buried 3 pages deep. RH personal directive. Brooks conviction priority. Confirm press event after verdict. She stared. Benjamin leaned over. His face changed. That's him. Maya nodded slowly. Richard Holloway. Benjamin's expression sharpened. We need more than initials. Maya kept searching. Then she found the matching correspondence. A scanned invitation draft for a press conference prepared before Brooks's conviction, with handwritten edits in the margin. One note circled in red. Ensure conviction before announcement. R.H. attending. Benjamin stared, then whispered, That's enough to force discovery. Maya nodded. No. She looked up. It's enough to destroy him. That afternoon, they prepared the filing. Emergency motion. Expanded conspiracy complaint. Request for criminal referral. Attached evidence implicating the mayor directly. Benjamin read the final page. If we file this, Maya met his eyes. There's no going back. He nodded once, then signed beside her. They filed at 4:17 p.m. By 5 p.m., the courthouse was chaos. Media vans lined the block. Reporters crowded every entrance. Political commentators were already calling it the largest corruption scandal in city history. Then at 6:12 p.m., Mayor Richard Holloway called a live press conference. Maya and Benjamin watched from the office television. The mayor stood behind a podium at City Hall. Calm, controlled, flanked by lawyers. He looked directly into the cameras. These allegations are false, malicious, politically motivated. Maya folded her arms. Then Holloway said, And, while I respect Miss Williams's passion, it is unfortunate that youthful ambition has once again confused accusation with truth. Benjamin muttered, There it is. He was trying to belittle her, dismiss her, paint her as reckless, desperate, inexperienced, the same tactic Whitmore had used. Maya kept watching. Then Holloway smiled faintly. But unlike others, I will not attack a young attorney for overreaching. I simply trust the truth will clear my name. He ended the conference and walked off. Maya stared at the screen. He's too calm. Benjamin nodded. Because he thinks he still has a move left. That night, Maya drove home just after 10. She noticed the black sedan in her rearview mirror halfway there. It followed through 3 turns, then 4. Her pulse quickened. She grabbed her phone. Benjamin. What's wrong? I'm being followed. His voice sharpened instantly. Drive to the nearest police station. She turned hard. The sedan followed. 2 blocks later, its headlights surged closer. Then, rammed her rear bumper. Maya screamed as the wheel jerked. The second hit sent her car spinning across the intersection. Glass shattered. Metal screamed. Her vehicle slammed into a curb and stopped hard enough to steal her breath. The sedan sped away, gone before she could see the plate. Minutes later, sirens, lights, paramedics. Benjamin arrived before they finished loading her into the ambulance. He grabbed her hand. Are you hurt? Maya, dazed and bleeding from the forehead, looked at him and said the words both of them already knew were true. That wasn't an accident. Benjamin's face turned to stone. No more doubt. No more warning shots. No more intimidation. The machine had crossed the final line. They were trying to kill her now. And as Maya sat in the ambulance with blood running down her face, one truth settled into her bones with perfect clarity. She had hurt them. Badly. Badly enough that the most powerful people in the city would rather see her dead than let her speak again, which meant they were closer than ever. And now, the only question left was who would fall first. Maya was discharged from the hospital just after sunrise with bruised ribs, stitches above her eyebrow, and strict instructions to rest. She ignored all of them. Benjamin drove her straight to his office. You should be in bed, he said. They tried to kill me. That's exactly why you should disappear for 48 hours. Maya turned toward him. And give them time to destroy the case while I hide? Benjamin did not answer, because he knew she was right. By the time they reached the office, national media had already picked up the story. Attorney leading corruption case survives suspected hit and run. Federal protection requested after crash raises questions. Public sympathy exploded overnight. Protesters returned to City Hall. Civil rights groups demanded immediate arrests. Political allies who had defended Mayor Holloway 24 hours earlier were now distancing themselves. Benjamin shut the office door behind them. They made a mistake. Maya lowered herself carefully into a chair. Yes, they tried to silence you and made you look untouchable instead. Her phone rang. It was the FBI agent. Maya answered immediately. We need to move now, he said. The attempted hit changed everything. Washington is authorizing independent federal intervention. Benjamin mouthed. Good, the agent continued. But if we're doing this, we need your full evidence package and live testimony today. Once this goes public at federal level, every target will run. Maya stood despite the pain. Then let's finish it. By noon, Maya and Benjamin sat inside a secured federal conference room with 3 senior investigators, 2 prosecutors from outside Illinois, and a court reporter. For 4 straight hours, Maya walked them through everything. Whitmore's suppression orders, the hidden witness statement, the storage unit files, the financial ledgers, the mayor's directives, the compromised federal memo, the attempted murder. When she finished, the lead prosecutor closed the final folder and looked at her. Miss Williams, if this evidence authenticates, this will be one of the largest public corruption prosecutions in state history. Maya met his eyes. It will authenticate. The prosecutor nodded. Then by tonight, we move. And they did. At 6:40 p.m., federal agents raided City Hall. At 6:52 p.m., they raided the offices of 2 sitting judges. At 7:05 p.m., Deputy Mayor Thomas Whitaker was arrested leaving his home. At 7:11 p.m., Harold Benton was taken into custody at his country club. And at 7:24 p.m., federal agents arrived at the penthouse residence of Mayor Richard Holloway. Every network in America carried the footage live. Maya and Benjamin watched in silence from the office television. The mayor emerged in handcuffs, still trying to maintain dignity, still pretending he was above it. But the cameras saw what Maya saw. Fear. Real fear. Benjamin exhaled slowly. It's done. Maya stared at the screen. No. She shook her head. Not yet. Benjamin looked at her. She pointed at the television. Whitmore was not among those arrested. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Whitmore's voice came through immediately. You should have died in that car. Benjamin stiffened. Maya's eyes hardened. So you ordered it. Whitmore laughed softly. You still think this was about politics? Maya stood. What are you talking about? His voice dropped. Holloway was greedy. Whitaker was weak. Benton was bought. But me? A pause. I built the legal architecture that protected them all. Maya went still. Benjamin stared at her. Whitmore continued. You thought exposing the mayor would end this? His laugh held no humor. I am the one who taught them how to bury people. Then the line went dead. Maya lowered the phone slowly. Benjamin spoke first. He's running. She nodded. And he thinks he still has leverage. Benjamin grabbed his coat. Then we find him before he disappears. Federal marshals tracked Whitmore's phone within the hour. Abandoned. Burner. Last signal near the old county courthouse annex on the riverfront. Maya insisted on going. Benjamin argued for 5 straight minutes. She went anyway. By the time they arrived, federal agents had surrounded the building. Whitmore had barricaded himself inside an unused courtroom on the top floor. The same annex where he had once begun his career as a prosecutor. A negotiator tried for 20 minutes. Whitmore refused everyone. Then he made one demand. He would speak only to Maya Williams. Benjamin looked at her. No. Maya Metistara. Yes. Federal agents reluctantly agreed. 2 minutes later, Maya entered the abandoned courtroom alone. Whitmore stood near the judge's bench. No robe, no authority, no audience. Just an old man in shirt sleeves, standing in the ruins of everything he had built. He looked at her and smiled faintly. You really are extraordinary. Maya stopped 10 feet away. You're finished. Whitmore laughed. You still don't understand power. He gestured around the empty room. Men like Holloway rise and fall. Politicians come and go. But the law? He tapped his chest. Men like me decide how the law lives. You buried innocent people. I preserved order. You destroyed lives. I protected a city from chaos. Maya stared at him in disgust. Whitmore's voice sharpened. You think your neighborhood would survive 1 week without men like me deciding who matters and who doesn't? That was it. The mask fully gone. No coded language. No pretense. Just naked belief. Maya stepped closer. You didn't protect this city. Her voice cut like glass. You protected men who looked like you, thought like you, and believed power belonged to them by birth. Whitmore's jaw tightened. You are a child who got lucky once. No, Maya said. I'm the woman who ended you. Silence. Whitmore stared at her, then slowly smiled. Perhaps. He reached into his coat. Agents outside shouted. Weapons raised through the doorway, but Whitmore only removed a folded envelope. He tossed it onto the council table. For when you finally understand what it costs to tear down men like me. Maya did not move. Whitmore looked at her one last time, then raised both hands. Federal agents stormed in, forced him to the floor, handcuffed him where he stood, and Raymond Whitmore, the man who had ruled courtrooms for 30 years, was dragged from the room like every defendant he had ever looked down on. The building erupted in chaos. Reporters swarmed outside. Cameras flashed. Benjamin found Maya in the hallway. You okay? She nodded slowly, then held up the envelope Whitmore had thrown her. Benjamin frowned. What is it? Maya opened it. Inside was one page, a list of names, dozens of them, judges, lawyers, businessmen, politicians, and at the very bottom, one final name circled in red, a name neither of them recognized. Benjamin read it aloud. Jonathan Voss. Maya stared. Who is that? Benjamin's face changed. Then slowly, very slowly, he looked up at her. And for the first time in this entire war, Benjamin Hayes looked afraid. He's the man who financed all of them. Benjamin did not speak again until they were back inside his office with the doors locked. Maya set Whitmore's list on the table between them. Tell me who Jonathan Voss is. Benjamin stared at the circled name, then slowly sat down. He's not supposed to exist in public conversation. Maya crossed her arms. That's not an answer. Benjamin exhaled heavily. Jonathan Voss is one of the most powerful private financiers in the Midwest. Owns investment groups, infrastructure firms, private prisons, campaign funds most through shell companies, and holding corporations. Maya frowned. And he financed the corruption network? Benjamin nodded. For years, people whispered his money was behind half the judges and politicians in this city. But nobody ever proved it. Maya looked at the list again. Whitmore gave us his name on purpose. Benjamin's expression darkened. Yes. Why? Because if Whitmore is going to prison, he wants the man above him dragged down too. Maya stared at the page, then said quietly, So this was never about politics. Benjamin nodded. It was about business. The room fell silent, because now the whole structure made sense. Wrongful convictions, election timing, private prisons, political pressure, corrupt judges, suppressed evidence, money. It had all come back to money. Maya sat slowly. Leonard Brooks wasn't convicted because he was guilty. No, Benjamin said. He was convicted because powerful men needed a conviction before an election, and because one more black defendant in prison made money for the people funding the machine. Maya's jaw tightened. The ugliness of it settled deep. Her father, Leonard Brooks, countless others. Lives destroyed because injustice had become profitable. Benjamin looked at the list again. If Voss is truly tied to all this, bringing down Whitmore and Holloway won't matter unless we bring down him too. Maya met his eyes. Then we do. Benjamin shook his head immediately. No. Maya frowned. No? Whitmore? Holloway. The judges, we had evidence. Documents. Witnesses. Financial trails. He tapped the circled name. Against Voss? We have a name on a paper from a disgraced judge. That's not enough. Maya knew he was right, but she also knew something else. Whitmore had not written that name for no reason. He wanted us to know who built the machine. Benjamin nodded. Yes. Then somewhere there's proof. Before Benjamin could answer, Maya's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered cautiously. A woman's voice spoke. Low. Controlled. Miss Williams? Yes. My name is Evelyn Cross. I work for Jonathan Voss. Maya and Benjamin exchanged a look. The woman continued. He knows Whitmore gave you the name. Maya's grip tightened. What does he want? A pause. He wants to meet. Benjamin mouthed. No. Maya ignored him. When? Tonight. 9 o'clock. Voss Tower. Top floor. The line went dead. Benjamin exploded the second she lowered the phone. Absolutely not. He wants to negotiate. He wants to assess the threat. Same thing. Benjamin stood. You do not walk into the office of a billionaire tied to organized corruption after half his network gets arrested. Maya looked at him calmly. That's exactly why I walk in. At 8:57 p.m., Maya entered Voss Tower. Federal agents wanted surveillance. Voss's lawyers blocked them with private property restrictions. So, Maya went in alone. The elevator rose to the top floor. When the doors opened, Jonathan Voss stood waiting. He was in his late 60s. Perfect suit, silver hair, calm eyes, the kind of man who looked less like a criminal than a university donor. He smiled politely. Miss Williams. Maya stepped out. You wanted to see me? He gestured toward his office. I wanted to meet the woman who dismantled half my city in under a week. She did not sit. Voss poured himself a drink. I imagine Whitmore gave you my name. He did. And now you think I'm the villain behind everything. Maya held his gaze. Aren't you? Voss smiled faintly. No. He stepped closer. I'm the man who funds systems. Other men decide how to use them. You financed corruption. I financed influence, he corrected. There's a difference. Maya's voice hardened. Tell that to the innocent people buried by your influence. Voss studied her, then sighed. Young people always think corruption begins with evil men in dark rooms. It doesn't. He set down his glass. It begins when citizens demand order, safety, prosperity, and convenience all at once. Men like Holloway and Whitmore merely provided what voters wanted. You profited from it. Yes, he said without shame. Because I understand what this country truly rewards. Silence. Then Voss stepped closer. You've done something remarkable, Miss Williams. Truly. He opened a folder on his desk and slid it toward her. Inside were documents, employment contracts, board appointments, speaking offers, partnership invitations, compensation figures in the millions. Maya stared. What is this? My offer. She looked up. Voss smiled. You are brilliant, fearless, publicly adored. Why waste that becoming another angry reformer screaming at a machine too large to move? He tapped the papers. Join it instead. Maya laughed once. Disbelief. You think I can be bought? No, Voss said calmly. I think everyone can be persuaded when the offer is honest enough. She closed the folder. Keep your money. Voss's expression did not change. Then perhaps not for yourself. He slid another file across the desk. Maya opened it and froze. Photos. Her mother leaving church. Benjamin entering his office. Leonard Brooks at home with family. Surveillance. Detailed. Recent. Voss's voice remained calm. You misunderstand me, Miss Williams. This is not bribery anymore. Maya looked up slowly. It's the final kindness I offer before this becomes unpleasant. Her voice dropped. You're threatening my family. No. He smiled faintly. I'm educating you on consequences. Maya stared at him, then slowly stood. You made one mistake tonight. Voss tilted his head. What mistake? She held up the surveillance file. You just gave me proof. For the first time, his smile faded. Maya turned and walked toward the door. Voss's voice followed her. If you go public with this, no institution will save you. She stopped at the elevator, then looked back. Her voice was cold. They said that about Whitmore too. She walked out. By midnight, federal prosecutors had the surveillance file. By dawn, emergency warrants were signed. By noon, Jonathan Voss was arrested on charges of racketeering, witness intimidation, conspiracy, and obstruction. The nation exploded. The scandal consumed every major network. A billionaire financier, a sitting mayor, federal judges, state prosecutors, police officials, law partners, all tied to one corruption network exposed by a 24-year-old black attorney from Southside Chicago. That night, Maya stood alone in her office, staring at the city skyline. Benjamin entered quietly. It's over. Maya shook her head. Not yet. Benjamin frowned. What's left? Maya looked down at the final folder in her hand. A stack of case files from Whitmore's ledger. Dozens of names. Dozens of convictions. Dozens of lives still buried. She looked up and said the words that told Benjamin she had changed forever. "We didn't fight this hard to save one man." Benjamin stared at her, then slowly smiled. No fear, no hesitation, only pride, because he understood what she meant. They had not just exposed corruption, they had opened the door to rewrite everything. And the woman who had entered Whitmore's courtroom as a frightened young attorney was gone now. In her place stood someone far more dangerous, someone power would fear for the rest of her life. The first wrongful conviction hearing after the scandal began 3 weeks later. Courtroom 7B was full again, but this time, no one laughed when Maya Williams walked in. No one whispered. No one looked at her like she did not belong. They stood, every person in the room, lawyers, reporters, clerks, even spectators in the gallery, rose to their feet as she entered. Maya paused. For a moment, she did not move, because 3 weeks earlier she had stood in that same room while people laughed, as a judge promised to destroy her. Now that same courtroom stood in silence, out of respect. Benjamin leaned toward her and murmured, "Don't get used to it." She smiled faintly, then walked to counsel table. The hearing lasted less than 20 minutes. Another conviction overturned, then another 2 days later, then another the week after that. Whitmore's ledger had opened the floodgates. Review boards were formed, special prosecutors appointed, old convictions re-examined. Families who had spent decades believing no one would ever hear them finally saw courtroom doors reopen. Everywhere Maya went, people stopped her. Outside courthouses, on sidewalks, at gas stations, at church. Some cried. Some hugged her. Some simply took her hand and said, "Thank you for not stopping." National networks offered interviews. Universities offered speaking engagements. 3 elite law firms offered partnership track contracts worth more money than her mother had earned in a lifetime. Maya declined all of them, because 2 months after Jonathan Voss's arrest, she stood in the center of Southside Chicago beneath a new sign being mounted above a renovated brick building. Williams Justice Center. The crowd gathered outside erupted into applause. Her mother stood in front, wiping tears from her face. Leonard Brooks stood beside her. Benjamin stood near the back, arms crossed, smiling with quiet pride. A reporter stepped forward. "Miss Williams, with your credentials and public profile, you could work anywhere in America. Why open a legal clinic here?" Maya looked at the crowd, at the neighborhood that had raised her, at the streets where children still learned too early how little protection the system offered people who looked like them. Then she answered, "Because people here believed in me before anyone else did." The crowd applauded. Maya continued, "When I was a little girl, this neighborhood taught me something powerful, that justice means nothing if only the wealthy can afford it." She looked toward the building behind her. "So if the law failed this community for generations," her voice steadied, "then this is where I start helping fix it." The ribbon was cut, the doors opened, and the Williams Justice Center began taking clients that same afternoon. Months passed. Then, one cold December morning, Maya received a call from federal prosecutors. Jonathan Voss had agreed to cooperate. Not partially, fully. He was naming names, judges, senators, businessmen, federal officials. The investigation had spread far beyond Chicago. What Maya exposed had become national. Benjamin walked into her office later that day carrying coffee. "You understand what you did, don't you?" Maya looked up from the stack of intake files on her desk. "I opened a law office." Benjamin laughed. "No." He set the coffee down. "You proved something this country desperately needed to see." Maya leaned back. "And what's that?" Benjamin looked at her for a long moment. "That institutions only look untouchable until one person stops being afraid of them." Silence settled between them. Then Maya looked toward the framed photo on the shelf behind her desk. Her mother, standing in janitor scrubs, holding the same old fountain pen Maya had carried into every hearing. The pen now rested beside her legal briefs. Still scratched, still worn, still precious. Her office phone buzzed. Reception transferred the next client. A young black mother entered holding her teenage son's hand. Fear sat plainly on her face. "Miss Williams," she said softly, "they said you help people like us." Maya stood, walked around the desk, and shook her hand. "Yes, ma'am," she said. That's exactly why I'm here. Late that evening, after the office had emptied, Maya stood alone outside the building. Snow drifted lightly across the street. The city moved around her, different now. Not fixed, not healed, but changed. Because corruption had not disappeared. Power had not become honest overnight, and injustice had not vanished because one case was won. She knew that. She understood it better than anyone. The fight would continue for the rest of her life. But now, so would she. Benjamin stepped outside beside her. "You ever think about that first day in Whitmore's courtroom?" he asked. Maya smiled faintly. "Sometimes." Benjamin shoved his hands into his coat pockets. "He really thought he was going to destroy you." Maya looked out toward the street, then answered quietly. "He almost did." Benjamin shook his head. "No." He turned toward her. "He created the one person capable of ending him." Maya said nothing, because part of her knew he was right. Judge Whitmore had looked at a young black woman from a poor neighborhood and seen someone easy to break. He had mistaken humility for weakness, inexperience for inferiority, and silence for surrender. He had challenged her publicly because he believed power belonged to men like him. He had never imagined the woman standing before him would become the end of everything he built. Maya looked up at the sign above the building one last time. Williams Justice Center. Then she thought of Leonard Brooks, of her father, of every innocent person buried by the machine, of every child growing up in neighborhoods like hers, wondering whether justice was something meant for other people. And she made herself a quiet promise. No child who came through her doors would ever grow up believing that again. Benjamin glanced at her. "What are you thinking?" Maya smiled, then answered with the truth. "That power always believes it will rule forever." She looked toward the courthouse skyline in the distance, then finished. "Until truth walks into the room." And this time, truth had learned how to fight. This story reminds us that justice survives only when brave people refuse to stay silent. Power often hides behind titles, wealth, and institutions. But no system is untouchable when truth is carried by someone courageous enough to fight for it. Maya's journey proves that where you come from does not determine where you belong, and that one determined person can challenge even the most powerful machine when they choose principle over fear. In the end, evil does not endure because it is strong. It endures because too many people stay quiet. Real change begins the moment someone decides they will not.